Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with part 14 of our MotoGP 24 Let's Play. Yes, we return this weekend here for the Monster Energy British Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live a couple of days ago from the Sachsenring, I would highly recommend going back and check that out. MotoGP 24 is hopefully here to stay now in the long run. And quickly as well, the support between this series and F1 Manager over the last few days has been absolutely monumental. So thank you all for 2,000 subscribers. If you're not already, please do make sure you drop a sub as well. Next up, of course, is going to be 3K there. But yeah, we've got one last round to try and get the jump on Tatsuki Suzuki once again in the standings. A 12-point deficit as we head into our home weekend, though, is certainly going to make things rather difficult. Taking a look at some of the other championships, Vietti actually loses a couple of points there to Masia, you can see in Moto2 and in the MotoGP class. Jorge Martin, his lead at the top does seem to be coming down slightly, but he is still at 49 points over Francesco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez there up in P3. So, yeah, lots to play for still in every championship. We've just crossed over the halfway stage of the season. Silverstone, I believe, though, on this game is obviously the current modern track, but you actually start on the old start-finish straight, which is going to be weird to adjust to.
Morning from Silverstone. We're live for the second practice session in the Moto3 class. Only the first 14 riders in the combined standings will go directly to Q2. All the others will have to fight for the 4 remaining places in Q1.
Well, it would appear then that immediately what I said was completely wrong. Of course, they start on the modern start-finish straight here in MotoGP. Weirdly, though, I think I find tracks that both MotoGP and F1 race at more difficult to adapt to than I do, obviously, some of the newer circuits like the Sachsenring that we went to last time out. I think just obviously where I'm used to, taking a Formula 1 car around this venue and not a motorbike, it is certainly something that I've really got to try and adapt to there. I mean, turn 2, it will be flat when I get the line nailed. This track as well also feels very, very different to how it is on the Formula 1 game. I'm not going to say with 100% confidence, but Codemasters EA's version is way more accurate. That being said, though, we all know Silverstone, yeah, such a high-speed venue in Formula 1. I'm sure it's going to feel the same way in MotoGP, but in a very, very different capacity. Obviously, Maggotts and Beckett's, I'm not looking forward to that. It's going to be really, really difficult to try and get the change of direction nailed up as we go through the Cops corner. It's certainly nowhere near flat out on this bike at the moment then as we head. Yep, here we go. Maggotts and Beckett's then. First time I've ever done it on a motorbike, at least in this game. Just try and keep it between the white lines, which I've immediately failed through the opening couple of parts. This track feels, I know it's a very, very flat track anyway. Oh, no, you got a different line. That's awful. Why? I wondered what this version of the circuit was for. I guess it's to stop them being so quick out onto the hanger straight here. But that's really, really difficult to try and wrap my brain around. As always, though, free practice is basically just trying to make sure that we set a time good enough to see ourselves into Q2. Ortiz there, you can see setting a 1:17.7. Not really too sure how close we're going to be to that lap time. It's always a bit scary on your first flyer. I would imagine, though, this is probably the longest track on the MotoGP calendar. It's still one of the longest in Formula 1, as we go and do a 17.7 as well then. Identical with Ortiz, which is quite impressive, but we're already over a second away from Tatsuki Suzuki, so we need to find a little bit more there. It's definitely getting my eye in more. Learning, finding the limit once again on this bike. But is this the longest track in MotoGP? It's certainly a little bit shorter when I cut a corner and invalidate a lap time. Oh, come on, Watley is really starting to slow me down as we try and get on another flyer here. Maybe we can put the power down out onto the old start-finish straight there. Down the inside we'll go. Fun fact, I think the first time I ever went to Silverstone was to watch the World Superbikes many, many years ago now. What is he doing? Come on, man. Can we go around his outside? This seems a little bit scary. We'll try and brake later into the corner. Definitely carried way too much speed in, but we'll get round him. Yeah, I think, though, obviously, there's no race you want to win more than your home race. But looking at the times at the moment, we might actually have some good pace here if I can get the lap times hooked up. We're 1.4 now back behind Suzuki. But we are set to improve again on this lap. Again, it's only free practice, so I'm not too worried as long as we make it through. But just learning more and more about the track, building up confidence in the bike as well. So hopefully we're going to see ourselves down into the 16s. Still can't quite work out why it feels so uphill through the final chicane here. It's definitely throwing off the centre of gravity through that final corner. You see that turn around, it is going to cost me. No, it's not. We do improve. Yeah, I'd say once we get into the 16s, I think we'll be ready for qualifying. Well, it's not quite going to be a time that improves us right towards the front of the board, but hopefully it is going to see us safely under those 217s. See 9/10 up as we make our way out of the final corner. Oh, just again a little bit wide there, slipping out slightly through that final corner. 2:16.8 though puts us P3. Suzuki has, I mean, he's got half a second on anybody at the moment. But hopefully that will see us into Q2. We go then at the end of combined practice there. And yeah, it seemed like we had a bit of rain later on in the session, which slowed down lap times just a little bit. But yeah, Tatsuki Suzuki, 4/10 clear of anybody come the end of free practice. We've got to really pull our finger out if we want to beat him as we move into qualifying. Try and have a look. Apart from Watley, who's a bit mediocre in this game, are there any other Brits on the grid? I don't think... Oh, there we go. Scott Ogden as well, haven't we? Got a couple of real backmarkers in Moto 3. But yeah, I believe it is literally just those two, which is a bit of a shame, and ourselves. So I think we're going to have to fly the flag for Great Britain today.
We're back at the circuit for the second Moto 3 qualifying session. The first riders are about to get out on track and battle their way to the best grid positions for tomorrow's race.
Well, of course, yeah, where it is only a 15-minute qualifying session, a bit like we mentioned at the Saxon Ring, but to an even bigger degree here. You're not going to get much time to get laps on the board. I mean, we're only going to get, what, 5, 6 laps in? If we're really having to go out there and get lots of them on, I'd be impressed if Suzuki maintains that advantage we saw he had in free practice. Like I said, I reckon if I get a lap completely nailed, we can get close, which is exactly what I've done through turn 1 and 2. The same can't be said for turn 3. One thing I'm definitely getting back into on this game, of course, is trying to get the bike right on the limit. Just allowing it to kind of slip and slide around a little bit, but not too much here. So far, this lap has felt pretty good, as I see, actually using the curbing through maggots there to chuck it into Beckett's. Just try and be really, really temperamental, though, on the throttle through this third part there. Of course, I'm so used to carrying the throttle so much earlier. It does completely change the way you attack that set of corners, and I would be very interested to see how different a Formula 1 car would be if you had to go through there, because I imagine even the final part probably wouldn't quite be flat out. You'd be close, but I feel like, yeah, you might just have to obviously move the car around a little bit more underneath you than you'd like to there. Down in towards the final couple of corners, though. Like I said, this lap's felt really good. Hopefully, it's going to be a good competitive benchmark there. You just get so much understeer through that penultimate corner because the track is falling away from the apex. So, a horrible line through the final corner. We attack the curbs way too much. A 16.5, though. Still quicker than we managed in free practice. But yeah, not as quick as Suzuki managed. We'll just wait to see then as other riders start to put their lap times on the board. We're 3/10 down at the moment, but we are getting a nice slipstream from Farioli down in towards the final couple of corners. I mean, surely if we're going to find time anywhere, it's going to be in these last couple of turns of the lap. And there we go, Suzuki immediately 3/4 of a second quicker than the time I was able to set. But we know there is more to be had through these final couple of corners, as long as we just keep it a bit tidy and a bit more planted. Through the final corner we'll go. I mean, these final two turns basically just become one there as well. Farioli just slows me down. We get a long lap penalty for that. What is that? So we serve next race, so I don't know whether that's today or next time round. But Farioli there sat on the apex of the final corner. We had to try and get the time up towards the line, but that might really cost me. And I think the long lap penalty here is down at Luffield, I want to say. I think I saw that during the Formula 1 Grand Prix last weekend. So, yeah, we might have to practice that at some point. Well, what worries me is the moment is I can't seem to find where the long lap penalty is at all around this circuit. Maybe when it said next race weekend, it literally meant next weekend. If there isn't one here, then say, I guess that's the only thing you can do. I'd be staggered, though. Surely Silverstone has got a long lap penalty to make our way through Maggots and Beckett's once more, though. We're finding even more time at the moment. This might be good enough to see us go clear of Tatsuki Suzuki, as we're half a second up then in towards the final couple of corners. We did get a really good line, though, through last time round, following Farioli until he blocked my line. Yeah, like I said, I can't see anywhere, but if we can improve now and go quicker than Suzuki, I don't see us finding much more time throughout the rest of qualifying. Let's just tip it into this final couple of corners, or a little bit again late on the brakes there. A second up temporarily, but we will lose a tiny bit of time through these final couple of corners. Will it be enough, though, to move us up to pole position? Yes, it will. A 1:15.5. I don't think I can find any more than that, but hopefully we're not going to need to. Well, we did try and do one more lap, and we ended up setting up, I think it was a 1:59 once again there, but Colin Vire, the one-lap hero constantly in this game, is going to ruin my potential for a pole position here. The Dutch rider, I should say, taking pole position by 0.3 of a second. I have found where the long lap penalty is as well around this venue. It's actually on the outside of turn 4, but Colin Vire has got a lot of work to do. I don't believe he's won a race yet this season. Could today finally be his day?
Welcome to the UK, all you MotoGP fans. We are live from the Silverstone circuit, one of the longest and most challenging in the entire championship. Just a few more moments and we'll switch to the starting straight for the Moto3 class race. We're on the starting grid where the lights will soon go out to start the race. Forecasts for the race say to expect rain at any moment. The mechanics are keeping the wet tyres ready should the race be interrupted.
Well, really, once again, then what's this? 3 races in a row where rain either has hit or might hit there, as we are the only rider with a long lap penalty today. So I might try and get that out of the way early, and then we'll wait and see as to how a red flag changes things up later on. I'm looking forward to it, though. I feel up to speed. I feel quick here. It is just a case of seeing what Colin Vire can do, whether he can maintain that pace that we saw over one lap. He hasn't done it often this season, but if he can, he will be formidable.
The riders have been greeted by a fantastic atmosphere here at Silverstone. They're all lined up for the start, ready for some British Grand Prix action.
Getting ready then on the grid, waiting on those 10 red lights here at Silverstone, the home of Formula 1, but this weekend the home of MotoGP. It is 10 red lights, and lights out, and away we go there. Suzuki getting off to a pretty good start there, but actually getting caught up behind his teammate in Colin Vire. We've got someone else down the inside at the first corner. That was David Alonso, I believe, as we've already had a crash down then, so someone has fallen off their bike. That was Ogden and Watley, so my 2 fellow Brits. There's all Suzuki! Contact between myself and Suzuki. We've been tagged off as well through the first couple of corners, so a disastrous start to this race. Why on earth are we falling off under the autopilot? Surely that's not how it works. There we go. Our long lap penalty has been cleared, but Angel Paqueras then already out of this race. We're kind of hoping for the red flag now because we're so far behind everybody else. But our big championship rival, Tatsuki Suzuki, also way down the order. Drama at the start here at Silverstone. But yeah, we've got a lot of work to do, but we know we are quick. Monitoring the gap then to Vietti, who is at the front of the field. We're only 9.5 seconds back. It's actually come down half a second already on this lap. Will be massively helped, of course, if the AI continue to fight each other. Looks like Suzuki is already trying to make moves back through. We can just see that gaggle of riders up in front. Problem is, there's no point really waiting for a red flag, because obviously we might not get one. We had the same thing last time at the Saxon Ring, where rain was meant to arrive and then just never did. And we ended up in quite a lonely race there, so don't really want the same to happen here today. Already we've taken a second out of the leader in the second half of that lap, so I'm not going to say this is over yet. We need a miracle, but the home crowd always gives you a few extra tenths. Where things start to get really interesting then, Tatsuki, Suzuki and myself both have got to try and carve our way back through the grid. I mean, I can't believe here we just slipped wide into him. I think it was irrelevant though, because there was someone else that had fired it in that pretty much took me off immediately afterwards, so I think we were going to make contact with Suzuki anyways. You can see some of our slower riders a little bit all over the show. We're going to give, I can't remember what this guy's name is, a little bit of a push there into Maggots and Beckett. But we will get past him then, as, yeah, Suzuki up to P21. We know, of course, yeah, I think we'd still need about a top 5 if he didn't score points here to get back ahead of him. This is obviously the final round of that mini challenge we've got against the Japanese rider. So as we make our way back out onto the hangar straight, tucked up into the slipstream then of car as well. They've got a lot of names. I'm really testing my knowledge here down towards the rear of the field once again, and I'm sure it'll be the same story when I move up to Moto 2. That we basically then got to try and learn a lot more names once again. There's so many riders to remember. As oh, there we go. Rain has arrived. Oh, Suzuki, come on, what you doing, man? Have we seen... Suzuki's gone again! More contact with Tatsuki Suzuki, who was just sat on the racing line. But surely we are going to see red flags out in just a moment, as Car's gone as well. So I think Suzuki, yeah, was really kind of caught there. But, yeah, surely we are not far away from a red flag now. The rain really starting to fall around this venue, as I'm going to get a warning for that incident. We didn't get a warning for the other one, surprisingly. But, yeah, they're not going to call it? Surely you would expect them to call it pretty soon. I can already feel the bike slipping around underneath us. So we're going to try and get the run down there, down the inside. Back up into the top 20 we'll go. Come on then, try and have a look around the outside of Balm on the exit of Luffield. Watley, I don't think I've really ever seen him inside the top 20. He must have a nosebleed running this high up the order at the moment there. It's Balm just trying to have a look back past me. Farioli. Well, Felipe Farioli has got to be the best name in Moto 3 right now. But yeah, I'm staggered we aren't seeing this race being stopped for everyone to bolt on the wet tyres. I guess it's just got to wait for the track to get to a certain point. And then the wets will have to be forced on. Around the outside of Farioli will go there. I mean, we're basically trying to gain as many places as we can. This whole Gardo now picks up a long lap penalty. I think he's still up in front of me at the moment. But yeah, top 15 have really broken away from our back markers. So yeah, if you're in that group at the moment, looking pretty safe as there we go. Red flag finally called.
Stop and change their tyres.
Happy with that. So that'll rebunch up the entire grid. Colin Vire still obviously will be on the pole then. But yeah, wet mediums going on. I believe as well we have to do lap 3 again, so it gives us a bit more time. Yeah, I believe as long as the leader hasn't started the next lap, you have to do the lap once again. So P18 this time round. We need to try and keep it a bit clean and tidy then. Lot 10 red lights. We've actually started P21, so not too sure what that's all about. Then Suzuki's actually out of this race, so yeah, not the weekend he would have wanted there, and I'm sure questions will be raised, especially when you factor in our championship battle with the Japanese rider right now. As we look at that, everybody really trying to get the elbows out early on. I wanted to try and look around the outside, but we'll find an avenue down the middle, and immediately we'll come off again. Damn it, man. How much bad luck am I going to get in this race so far? As through the next corner we go. And any gap we had closed in, any chance we had to fight, unfortunately seems to be escaping us, as that corner certainly not flat out anymore. But of course you have to expect rain to occur here at Silverstone, even though just like Formula 1, this event is held in the summer. I believe it's held in August. So I believe, yeah, MotoGP summer break is before F1's. So they might actually be on their summer break now, but yeah, the rain I find so difficult still on this game. I definitely am nowhere near as confident in it. So yeah, it's going to be really tough to get back up towards the front, as of course it's for Rosato. He's been nowhere all weekend, but now has found himself back in the lead of another race. I'll say it before and I'll say it again. You have got to be a special kind of mad to race motorbikes in the rain. I mean, I'm on a controller, and it just feels scary as all hell, desperately trying to hang on, especially when I've only got one more track limits warning. Otherwise, we're going to get yet another long lap penalty here, which would not be ideal. I just want to fight with other riders again. Felt like we had so much potential this weekend, but two occasions we've fallen off down at turn 3 on both the start and the restart. Yeah, Furusato, I can see on the minimap, is just pulling away from Vietti. Yeah, we're also not going to beat Suzuki in the standings if things end like this. As we try and tip our way through the final couple of corners then, we have closed back in. I've remembered to use the power settings, so we're down to 1 on the power to hopefully make the bike a little bit more stable. I mean, you just look at the circuit, it looks like glass right now. 2 laps to go. I'll be happy if we hang on to the final lap then here from Silverstone. We are still last of the riders that haven't come off, but I think, to be honest, just to get to the end of this race with track conditions as they are feels like an achievement there. Around the outside Well, a couple of riders will look, but again, nothing happening for us at the moment. I can't even, like, see where the last rider inside the points is at the moment. There he is, already out of the loop. So, yeah, the pace actually hasn't been that bad when I get it hooked up, but it is just battling other riders. As, there we go, long lap penalty. We can't even serve it towards the end of this, so I'm going to guess we're going to pick up a time penalty as well there. But so disappointing at our home races. We're trying to look down the inside, even more contact. I think that was with Balm there. So, yeah, really not been a day to remember once again. But, yeah, in the wet conditions, we've just got nothing on this game. We had the pace in the dry. We got an absolutely ridiculous long lap penalty, which put us right down to the rear of the field. And since then, we just simply have not been able to recover there as Ruida picking up more warnings. And I've accidentally clicked the rewind button. It's all over. It is all over. I just want to get to the flag and call it a day. Silverstone, I said about Ogden and Watley, and well, they're going to end up, I think, both doing better than me by the end of this race, which is a little bit disappointing. As, there we go, talk of the devil. Ogden, he's going to pick up yet another penalty here, but in towards the final couple of corners for Rossato. Out of nowhere this weekend. He's had the pace come Grand Prix Sunday, and he has done very, very well there. Is it Colin Vire in P2 still? I think it is Colin Vire, isn't it? Not Vietti, sorry. That is in P2 then. So he's had a pretty decent ride, picking up a podium here at this just incredible circuit, but not in the rain on a motorbike there. For Rossato, once again, his championship lead is going to get further extended at the top of the table, but through the final couple of corners we're going to go. Second half of the year, we want to try and get back in the fight. I don't think I've finished inside the top 10 in obviously at least the last 2 races, but I think it might have been the last 3 or 4. But hopefully as we play this game more, we are going to re-emerge as, you know, a top rider once again. Falling off once more down at the final couple of corners. I'm just happy to survive-ish here at Silverstone, but not a day to remember for us.
As the Moto3 riders do their cool-down lap, let's take a look at the final results of the race we've just seen.
Well, there we go then. Rossato takes the win ahead of Vire and his main championship rival in Joel Esteban. Zuratuza, you can see that up in P5 ahead of Ruida, Riccardo Rossi, Ralston Ortola, and Joshua Watley. After I, really did give him some stick, he's clearly listened and has been able to get himself inside the top 10 for, I believe, the first time this year. Further down the order, though, a very, very disappointing P22 for us. It was Noah Detweiler. I certainly don't remember that name off the top of my head. Hopefully that means we aren't going to take a penalty into the next round as well there. But Botelli, Carraro, Suzuki, and Angel Paqueras all failing to finish there. Thank you all so much for watching. Like I said, we're going to put that one behind us and hopefully come back ready, stronger. I have no idea where we're racing next.